They called me Big Head.
One day, that big, beautiful, womb-wrecking head of yours is going to change the world.
Time to change the world by bringing it to its knees. Attack! The future is M.O.D.O.K.
The TV show M.O.D.O.K follows the eponymous M.O.D.O.K as he tries to reconcile his ambitions of world domination with his role as a husband and father. So, like every well-written story, M.O.D.O.K is about the conflict between a character's needs and his wants. Though masked as a quick-witted, bonkers stop-motion show, M.O.D.O.K is actually a deep character study of the giant-headed supervillain. It reminds me of DC's Harley Quinn, the animated show, which is a great character study of Harley Quinn and her quest for independence and finding out who she is, but also does a great job of showcasing characters that are commonly overlooked or considered silly or irrelevant. Characters like Kite Man, King Shark, and Dr. Psycho. We get a similar approach in M.O.D.O.K. It shows off characters that you wouldn't give a second thought about. Characters like Arcade, fucking Arcade. Who the hell is Arcade? I'll tell you, Arcade is a supervillain that builds elaborate arcade-themed death traps to torture and kill superheroes. The episode featuring Arcade is just brilliant. A young time-traveling M.O.D.O.K comes to the future to kill present-day M.O.D.O.K and his family because he hates who M.O.D.O.K has become. A family man who hasn't achieved his goals of world domination. So in one of his schemes, young M.O.D.O.K hires Arcade, who creates this crazy death trap for M.O.D.O.K and his family, featuring a bunch of robotic clones of M.O.D.O.K and his family. And they have to figure out who's real at the pain of death. It's a refreshing and fun way to tackle family drama, and it's genius because you get supervillain stuff and family drama, comedy, and at the same time, it's fucking great. It's just so much fun, so dynamic. I really do love this episode. More on Arcade. After young M.O.D.O.K is done with Arcade, Arcade takes off but is still going on with his arcade shtick, and young M.O.D.O.K says, "Don't pay any attention to him. Otherwise, he won't stop." This throwaway comedic line actually sums up Arcade as a character. Everything he does is for attention, and the show does this all the time, showing that the producers have a great understanding of these characters. And every episode of this show is like this. Like there's another episode where M.O.D.O.K is refused entry into the classy supervillain bar and has to go to the bar with no name, which is where all the C-list supervillains go to drown their sorrows. M.O.D.O.K eventually rallies the C-listers to go raid the Avengers Tower, to steal Cap's shield so he can use it to impress the high-class villains and get into the classy bar. But the episode turns into a character study of the C-list villains, and it's amazing. The C-listers were Armadillo, Juggler, Pound Cake, and Whirlwind, and some other characters no one cares about, and it's just great. Very much like M.O.D.O.K trying to get into the cool bar with all the cool supervillains, I'm very much trying to make a career out of being a YouTuber, criticizing movies or talking about entertainment in general. And if you've made it into the video this far, I really appreciate you. Thank you very much. And I'd like to take this opportunity to ask you to like and subscribe because I can't achieve my goal without you. So please support Third Person by hitting that like button, that subscription button, share it with a friend, watch M.O.D.O.K, share with a friend who likes M.O.D.O.K, and hit that notification bell so YouTube knows that you'd like to watch some more of my content. Thank you very much, folks. Back to the video. Peace. One of the C-listers, Pound Cakes, breaks into her old high school where she reminisces about her trophies, all of which were taken back from her, and her name stricken from the school's trophy cabinet because of blood tests proving that she is a mutant, thereby eliminating her from being able to participate in sports. She then remarks saying, she really worked hard for these trophies and really regrets them being taken back. And you really get some real feels in this situation, some real emotional content in the middle of this crazy stop-motion supervillain show. And in that instance, you could see how her life went downhill as she became a supervillain because of being ostracized and excluded. Just brilliant. It's a surprisingly deep show, and as I mentioned before, Like any good story or character study, the character in question has to choose between what he wants and what he needs. In M.O.D.O.K's case, he has to choose between being a world conquering supervillain or being a family man. This thematic drive of the show is brought to life by young, time displaced M.O.D.O.K. as he represents M.O.D.O.K's blind ambition. It's really poignant stuff, very effective. Now, M.O.D.O.K. is a villain. He is a megalomaniac and he kills people. He's a bad guy. But the show pulls a Joker or Godfather by making you empathize with this cartoon villain. I was rooting for M.O.D.O.K., hoping that he wouldn't be embarrassed by Iron Man again, or hoping that he'll be able to keep his family. I've come to appreciate works like M.O.D.O.K. and Harley Quinn, works that are primarily comedy but also have substantial drama and action. I find they're really effective because you're always caught off guard when you're hit with something deep. It always comes out of left field, unexpected yet welcome. This combination makes the experience more pleasurable and the message easily digestible and not preachy. Another interesting thing about M.O.D.O.K. and Harley Quinn is the fact that the heroes or the serious characters featured in both shows aren't too far off from their usual depictions. For instance, Batman in Harley Quinn isn't a far off interpretation of Batman from Justice League Unlimited, and might as well be the exact same Batman iteration from The Brave and the Bold, because of that show's comedic leanings. The same goes for Iron Man and M.O.D.O.K. Thanks to the MCU's light-hearted and sometimes outright comedic tone in some movies like Thor Ragnarok, the quick-witted and hilarious Iron Man we get in M.O.D.O.K. isn't that different from the Robert Downey Jr. interpretation of Iron Man the world has come to know and love as the one true form of Iron Man. So, with that in mind, these shows are a refreshing perspective and expansion of both the DC and Marvel universes. The show also looks great. The action is fun and dynamic and takes full advantage of the fact that it's stop motion. A standout action scene in M.O.D.O.K. is where he fights his rival at AIM, Monica. The action goes from 2D to video games and from shrink race to Pokemon battles. It's a joy to watch. This might just be the highest form of storytelling art, where the goal of the narrative takes the form of one genre, comedy, but eventually reveals itself to be something completely unexpected and poignant, drama. And that's me expressing my thoughts on the matter in a very clumsy way, since no genre is greater than the other. Judd Apatow once said to approach comedy writing as seriously as one would consider writing drama. Comedy doesn't mean silly and disposable. I give M.O.D.O.K. a 9 out of 10. It's a guaranteed good time, and you should check it out on Hulu.